just a really strange and unnecessary sort of intro. Alright, here we have some Cereoporus squamosus pheasantback mushrooms. These are polypores, although you can't really tell that because the video is not in focus. Now, the GoPro is, of course, a fixed focus camera, and without any macro features, and I lose sight of that sometimes when I'm out filming in the woods. And in my pocket, of course, is my phone, which does have macro features and implements them automatically and so forth. It is actually a real marvel of technology, but I have to have the presence of mind to switch back and forth between the two. And, well, in this case, you're going to have to overlook some of the unfocused video clips, mushroom clips in this video, because I was using the wrong tool for the job again. Meanwhile, there's Monarda fistulosa bee balm. That's got the square stems and the opposite leaves. Smells like oregano. Lamiaceae mint family. So here's your classic elm, and we've got, this is a half-free morel, Morchella punctipes, and it looks like we've got a little patch going here. There's a decent little patch there. Maybe not quite as desirable as Morchella americana, but they are edible and they are quite tasty. They kind of cook down to almost nothing. They are mostly water and a little bit of chitin and so forth. But if you're not familiar with them, these are Morchella punctipes, the half-free morel, or the dotted stem morel. An edible morel worth picking. Morchella punctipes gets its name from the granular dots of material that are on the stem or stipe of the mushroom. Here's a closer look at that stem texture. You can see the dots of material running up the stem, and you can see that the stem is inserted about halfway up the cap and attaches there. And it is hollow on the inside, like other morels. So we're well away from that elm now, but this patch of punctipes is still going. So I'm going to venture a guess that they may be growing saprotrophically. In other words, they're not associated with the root system of that elm. Rather, they're just growing. It's a very rich soil, and it's covered with mulch with broken up tree material, as you can see. So it would be, you know, the conditions are right for them to grow saprotrophically. I think that's probably what we're seeing, just judging by how large the patch was. In other words, the mycelium, the underground organism of which the mushroom is just the reproductive structure, has spread well beyond the root system of the elm tree, if it was ever associated with it to begin with. And perhaps there are multiple sclerotia or something underground that are involved as well. So that's Morchella punctipes, the half-free morel. Alright, do you see it yet? There, maybe, yes, that's Morchella americana. That's the more common morel, with the stem or stipe that attaches directly to the margin of the cap. And there's another small elm with one Morchella americana below it, also known as the yellow morel. So here's probably your most classic setup. You got a dead elm right on the bank of a little stream, and we've got a couple Americanas there.
Look around, see if we spot any more.
Here we have a patch of Verpa conica, sometimes called the thimble cap morel. They are in the same family, the morchelaceae, as true morels, but these of course are in a different genus, the genus Verpa. And they are ascomycetes, like morels. These I think have a more of a tendency to be toxic, especially if eaten undercooked. People do eat them. Personally, I never have. Here you can see that the stem does not attach to the margin of the cap, but rather it inserts fully into the cap and attaches at the very top. Superficially similar to an agaricoid basidiomycete. And although it may look like a gilled mushroom, there are no gills inside. It is in fact an ascomycete, a cup fungus. The stem may or may not be entirely hollow on these mushrooms. If you look closely, one of those mushrooms, you can see inside the stem some cottony material there. And so again, these are Verpa conica. And once again, we have Cereoporus squamosus, the pheasant-back mushroom, emerging from the trunk of a dead willow tree.
So we've got that fallen log, and that may have been a cottonwood, just judging by the size. You see that sort of rough bark that remains on it, but well decayed and lots of ground contact. And then we've got the Gyromycete. And the same thing over here, lots of ground contact. And we got a couple more popping up right there.
These are also in the phylum Ascomycota. These have recent studies have shown them to be less, they contain less gyromitrin than the European Gyromitra esculenta. These have now been separated into their own genus, Neogyromitra. I have eaten them on a couple occasions, well cooked. They are tasty, similar to morels. But now that I'm older and have some health issues and am on a lot of medications, I probably will not eat them again. This is a species where I can't really make the decision for you. You will need to do some extensive research on your own and make that decision for yourself if you want to try them. Alright, so back on the trail with the Americanas. You can tell by the leaves on the ground, this is just sort of a sparse, scattered fruiting that was associated with cottonwood trees. And we got a couple more Americanas before once again stumbling on another Neogyromitra log.
So these are ash logs. We got the remains of an ash tree there, and that's probably one over there as well. And we've got that ground contact. So again, we've got the Gyromitra, or Neogyromitra brunea, as it's called now. There's another one. Right down there. Well, we've got some ferns. Oh yeah, sure enough. We got the spring beauties, we got the Dutchman's britches, and we got an Americana right there in the ferns. Plenty of poison ivy around. We've got a cottonwood stump there. At any rate, something has produced a patch here. There's several more over there. Alright, we're gonna have to crash through some heavy brush here. Looks like we do have, that's like the old days over there. That's a big dead elm. This might be part of the top of it right here. You gotta do what you gotta do. To find those patches. Oh, there's one right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. A couple more way back in there. Going right up to that big elm. That truly does remind me of the old days. Sounds like my own grandfather now. Classic. Yeah, sure enough. That is Allium trichocum. That's a parallel venation. The red stem. It does not have leaves and flowers at the same time. Unlike the trout lily, which would have leaves and flowers at the same time, this does not. The flowers come up later. And of course, if you tear it, it has that onion or garlic smell. So there's another decent patch of wild leeks, Allium trichocum. It kind of runs on over here. So this little thing right here is the remnant flower head of Allium trichocum. That came up last summer after the leaves had died away from last spring. So a little fiddlehead there. But yeah, that's what the flowering head is like that of an onion. It's not like that of a trout lily.
Here is the trout lily. You can see that the flower is large, single, and pendant. And most importantly, it has leaves and flowers at the same time. And you can see that it has a reddish mottled pattern in the leaves as well. And this may not always be present, but the real indication is that it has flowers and leaves at the same time, whereas the wild leek does not have leaves and flowers at the same time.